Hey there, Stanny. It's Grinder McGee over at Cold Steel Forums, and you were asking a question about your Peacekeeper dagger and Tai Pan dagger as well, regarding some cutting techniques. And some cutting techniques that are pretty specific to stuff that I started getting into when I started playing with these bigger knives and trying to understand the forces that work behind them. I know that you're doing some full water bottle cutting and you're not getting some really good results with that. And some of the things that you're talking about maybe lead me to believe that you're kind of overpowering it a little bit, and maybe when you're coming through that you're increasing your speed and you're turning just a little bit, just enough to just throw that water bottle off of your platform. And hopefully I can demonstrate here with some empty water bottles that aren't glued or taped down or weighted like that or anything, and demonstrate how a technique is real important to being able to cut through one of these bottles, even though it's such thin plastic and you've got such a big sharp knife here. And what's real important is you always want to keep your cutting edge in line, so you always want to have a real good flow, and this is true with a small knife, a big knife, a thin knife, or a thick knife. And let me see if I can just get this one before I start talking too much about my expertise, right? So that one cut clean, no problem. I'm going to readjust my little thing here, because I don't have a lot of room where I'm working at right now. Something I also like to do, see if I can get another one. Now you notice I'm coming down at a little bit of an angle now. There's no weight to press back on this edge. So if I'm doing my technique right here and I'm hitting in that sweet spot on here, of course this will just go flying, no matter how much oomph I put into it. But if you use the gravity a little bit, you can even do these empty water bottles. See, I turned a little bit on that one, and this is a good practice watching here. Let's see if we can get another couple of these things to go. But sometimes I like to take empty cereal boxes and taco boxes like this, and same technique applies. If I have my line, if I have my edge in line, and I'm working gravity to its maximum effect, then I should get the desired result, which is a box in two pieces. And we'll see if we can achieve that result right now with just a little speed. Of course I got an empty box here and I'm not trying to fool you or nothing. With just a little bit of speed on that one, of course I was able to do a little bit of that. You can roll up newspaper and get similar results as well. Let's see if I can get a smaller target. These are kind of tough. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if Lynn Thompson is with me today. There we go. Got that one as well. So what I got here is a mailing tube, and you can see this is made of some thicker cardboard. It's probably about 2.5 inches big. We're going to see if we can smack this, also an empty one, in one pop. Now it's worth mentioning also that just because I'm using gravity to do these empty cartons like this, you don't always necessarily have to go down. The same technique applies when you're going horizontal and when you're going vertically, right? This blade is in motion. You want a nice clean draw. You want these arcs. You want these arcs to be happening. This natural body movement. You don't want to knock yourself into some kind of a linear movement when you're doing these single objects like this. If you were doing a line of water bottles that was 8 or 10 long, well, of course you would want your arc to be elongated, but you would still want it to be an arc, because that's the nature of slicing. When you're slicing something, you hardly ever just push cut. When you're slicing something, you almost are always drawing the edge across it. So that's the same thing that's kind of going on here when you're doing these larger targets. And hopefully with my, what I feel is pretty decent explanation there, I'm able to complete this cut on this tougher target. Let's see if we can do that. See that it hung on a little bit there, but we were able to clean slice it most of the way. Although I'm really not satisfied with that. Maybe I got enough left that I can do one more and actually get a clean cut. Even though what we got is I stepped on it. I stepped on it a while back. This has been sitting around my house for a while, so shooty-o. Let's see if we can get a good clean cut on this shipping tube for Stanny. Okay. use my arc concept here. There we go. That was much better that time. And it was clean. And so I hope that explains some of the questions you're having relating to cutting technique. Now I think we can agree this is much thicker than a water bottle, and because there's not as much weight in the knife and there's not as much weight in the target, of course it doesn't really have a lot to do with power, and mostly that's this technique that I'm talking about. So just to cover it once again real quick, that you're trying to do these natural motions and your arm moves naturally in an arc motion, and that what you're trying to achieve is a slicing of your target and not really a chopping of your target. And that's some of the things, some of the difficulties that I ran into when I started playing with some of the stuff on what most people would consider the larger end of the scale, is that I thought I could muscle through it, and what I ended up finding out was that I ended up pulling my muscles trying to chop through targets like water bottles. And so hopefully that helps you out, man.